So it looks like one of the all-time legends of radio, the king of all media, may soon be hanging up his crown. We shall see. You see the headlines there. SiriusXM and Howard Stern, they've been doing business for 20 years. Well, Howard's SiriusXM contract set to expire this fall, and it looks like SiriusXM is not serious about giving Howard the type of money he's reportedly been receiving from them to the tune of $100 million per year. Now, Howard, long before Sirius, he made his legend in terrestrial radio. And I grew up with Howard. I remember him as a kid on WNBC in New York. Then as a teenager into manhood on K-Rock on the afternoons. Then in the mornings. Howard was just a legend. Loved listening to him when I was in high school, in college. And then as I began my own career in radio, I could certainly on some levels as a sportscaster relate to the trials and tribulations that Howard went through in that crazy business. Nothing was taboo with Howard. He was a rebel, a man of the people. And when I say nothing was taboo, it starts with anything sexual, farts, pranks, prank calls, being able to do all kinds of contests with his callers, celebrity interviews, much more. Howard was a creative genius, and he kept you laughing. And listening to him back in the day was an absolute thrill. When I finally broke into radio, at about the turn of the century, I spent 12 years working the morning shift. Half of those years I listened to him on K-Rock, and I made the switch over to satellite radio. I would do my own morning shift, leave at about 8 or 9 each morning, and I'd have to go to a second job. And one thing about Howard and the handful, maybe a couple dozen to 100 people that I know of that have had the status of being an A-lister in radio and have actually become millionaires. I still can't believe anyone can do it. Howard certainly has. He's earned it. He has a portfolio, they say, of about $650 million with mansions in Florida, New York, penthouses and apartments galore in the heart of New York City. So Howard, to me, was a huge part of my mornings. I would make the 7-mile trip down Interstate 95, headed south towards New York City. Sometimes that trip would take 15 minutes. Sometimes it would take an hour. I always had Howard by my side. Howard and the Whack Packers. Marianne from Brooklyn. Hank the Angry Dwarf. Beetlejuice. So on and so forth. There were so many different components to Howard's show that I enjoyed. And when he first got the satellite, I thought he was great. He had the ability to be X-rated, right? There was no FCC to deal with. So Howard was unedited, and it got more raunchy. It was even funnier. Now, Howard, of course, not everyone's cup of tea. You love him, you hate him, but you have to respect him. Then suddenly, and I'm going to play you a clip in just a moment of President Trump, who was asked yesterday by the reporters, I should say reporter, one of them. He prefaced it as, I want to ask you a entertainment question. I asked him about Howard Stern. Again, I'll play it in a second. But President Trump reminded me, and his answer, as I'm kind of giving you a spoiler here, a spoiler alert, was Howard kind of lost course in 2016. He's right. Because that was when I noticed Howard was going to the left and he was becoming a libtard. And it wasn't the same Howard I always loved. The show was changing a bit. Howard was hanging around with woke elitists like Jimmy Kimmel and A-list stars and spending less time with Whack Packers, doing more celebrity interviews, which I always enjoyed. But the show suddenly shifted and it wasn't what I was used to. And what really set it off for me, and I canceled my Sirius subscription in 2016. I was doing business and driving from South Florida for from the Miami area to Orlando, and he had Hillary Clinton on. And I remember saying to myself out loud in the morning, listening to it in real time, saying, wow, Howard's got his nose up Hillary's ass. He's brown-nosing. This isn't the Howard I always loved. I stuck with him a little longer, and then I canceled him because he became a complete Trump basher. Meanwhile, Trump, arguably one of the top, if not the best ever guest on Howard Stern, was gracious and appeared on his show so many times. In fact, Trump had asked Howard to highlight the RNC back in 2016 and be the keynote speaker. Howard declined and then broke away from Trump and wanted nothing to do with Trump whatsoever. And it got ugly the last decade or so, 9 years, with, of course, Trump going to office in term one as POTUS 45 from 16 to 20. And then COVID came and everyone was derailed. Howard was out of the studio. He was always a germaphobe, which I thought was funny, but he became COVID obsessed. And he started doing the show from home. And the show totally turned, and I'd only listen in very rarely. I didn't have the subscription again, but just in bits and pieces. I pick up a clip or two on YouTube. But he's certainly changed. Howard suddenly became the guy he used to make fun of. And he lost his connection with the people. And he lost me when he did that interview with Hillary. So without further ado, let me play you the clip yesterday from Donald J. Trump. Take a look and listen.
Howard Stern, it's a name I haven't heard. I used to do a show, used to have fun, but I haven't heard that name in a long time. What happened? He got terminated?
Yeah, they're going to separate ways because I think what they're offering salary-wise is real low than what he's getting.
You know when he went down?
Whenever you want.
You know when he went down? No, before. When he endorsed Hillary Clinton, he lost his audience.
Right.
People said, give me a break. He went down when he endorsed Hillary Clinton.
And there you have it. Now, Howard has always been transparent, and that's what makes Howard a legend. Says whatever the hell he feels. And it's interesting because he has not shied away from being woke. He's embraced it. This is a clip going back a little over a year ago. Take a look and listen.
I'll play you the clip, but he does say, you know, I'm a big Howard Stern fan, and I started, but how he goes, yeah, but Howard is woke now. I hear that a lot. Geez. That I'm not good anymore because I'm woke. My whole career I've been hearing.
Well, maybe Metamucil is woke. Stop eating it.
Yeah. By the way, I kind of take that as a compliment that I'm woke. I'll tell you how I feel about it. To me, the opposite of woke is being asleep. And if woke means I can't get behind Trump, which is what I think it means, or that I support people who want to be transgender, or I'm for the vaccine, well, dude, call me woke as you fucking want. I'm not for stupidity.
And there again from the king of all media, Howard Stern. Now, it will be interesting to see what happens next. This doesn't mean that Howard's done for good. We'll see. Maybe he is able to make a deal with Sirius, save face, come back for less money. I know this about Howard, you know, with the current staff. There's about 100 staff members, like Richard Christie and Sal, and of course Baba Booey. He's the only member of Howard Stern's staff that I ever got to meet 2 times when I was a sportscaster in Connecticut at 2 charitable events. And I'll tell you this, he is, what you see is what you get. That is the genuine deal right there, Baba Booey. As nice as a human being as you can imagine. Just a really nice guy. Really all heart. And I enjoyed meeting Gary Dell'Abate. But I don't think Howard wants to bail on the staff like that. But then again, who the hell knows? But we'll see. Maybe Howard comes back and just does a 1-year deal with Sirius so he can kind of do a retirement tour and go out his way. Or he tells Sirius to go screw themselves, and he picks up the pieces and lands somewhere else. Somewhere that has money and is looking for a name and to usher in his audience. They do say Howard went at one time, like I said, I was one of them, at one time in the heart of his Howard mania. He had 20 million listeners a day. He's gone down to about 125,000 per day. We shall see what happens. But my guess is it's probably not going to happen at SiriusXM. And to me, Howard is still a legend, but I've certainly lost a lot of respect for Howard, and I'm certainly not the super fan anymore that I once was because Howard jumped the shark.